Some betrayals start with lipstick on a collar. Mine started with an airline email I wasn't supposed to see. I wasn't looking for anything. I wasn't snooping or digging or following some paranoid hunch. I was cleaning out my inbox on a quiet Sunday morning when it hit me, a subject line that looked like spam. Mileage summary. Your statement is ready. I was about to delete it when I noticed the name, Samantha Reynolds. My wife. Now, that was strange. I don't usually get her airline notifications. She handles all her travel. But years ago, when she started her job at the event marketing firm, I set up her frequent flyer account while she was swamped with work. I used my email, created a password, forwarded the login, then forgot all about it. Until today. So, I clicked. And that one click cracked everything open. Her recent mileage activity looked off. She had 3 new trips in the past few months that didn't line up with what she told me. March 8th, JFK to Miami. April 22nd, LAX to Austin. May 6th, Boston to Miami again. I stared at those cities for a long minute. Not because I didn't recognize them, but because they weren't the cities she said she'd been in. On those dates, I distinctly remember. March, she said she was in Chicago for a food expo. April, she swore it was Seattle for a venue walkthrough. May, supposedly Philadelphia, helping her coworker with a last-minute wedding install. None of those cities matched. Not even close. I clicked on each flight for more info. Same airline. Same seat class. Booked through the same travel portal. But what made my stomach twist was what came next. Each flight was booked with a companion. Same name, 3 times, Ryan Vance. I didn't know any Ryan Vance. And I'd been married to Sam for nearly 7 years. I sat back in my chair. My coffee had gone cold. My heart hadn't caught up yet. Now, here's the thing. Sam has always been good at detail. She never came back from a trip without photos, receipts, or cute little airport gifts. She posted selfies from conferences, messaged me good night from her hotel. Everything always looked perfectly normal. And I believed it. Because why wouldn't I? But this wasn't a misplaced text or a suspicious message. This was a pattern. I didn't confront her. Not right away. I needed more than flight logs. So I opened the old cloud storage tied to our doorbell camera, one she never used and never cared about. I still had it set to auto backup. I scrolled to May 6th, the day she was allegedly in Philly. 6:42 a.m. The rideshare pulls up. She comes out with her carry-on, hair straightened, in a navy blazer. And trailing behind her, a man in jeans, black baseball cap, rolling suitcase. They both get into the car. Not a word to the camera. But close, like they've done this before. I froze the frame. Zoomed in. His face was mostly turned, but I got enough. I saved the image, dropped it into a folder I named Flight Log. Then I backed it up 3 times. The next night, we made dinner together. She laughed when I accidentally burned the garlic bread. She kissed my cheek when I fixed her wine glass. And she told me how exhausting Philly was. Jen totally dropped the ball on the vendor's side, she said. I nodded, smiled, and inside, I started building the case. Over the next week, I turned into someone I never thought I'd be: methodical, distant, careful. I logged into her travel profile and downloaded every itinerary for the last 6 months. I built a spreadsheet. I checked booking confirmations, matched hotel receipts with credit card activity. I pulled location data from the Find My app she forgot to disable on our shared iCloud. None of it matched what she told me. I searched Ryan Vance. Took a few tries, but I found him: LinkedIn profile, company website, even a YouTube video of him presenting at a tech conference in Phoenix. Regional sales director, 39 years old, based in Dallas. Sam had never once mentioned working with anyone in solar tech. I screenshotted everything. Then I checked her text logs. Not the messages, just metadata from our carrier account. Every time she was traveling, there were dozens of late-night messages to a Dallas area code. Always the same one. No names. But I didn't need confirmation. I had it already. I watched her closely after that. She wasn't cruel. She wasn't cold. If anything, she was relaxed. Like someone who had a secret so well kept, she felt invincible. On June 15th, she told me she had to go to Denver for a big client pitch. Left Friday. Back Sunday. Except her airline app, which I now had full access to, showed a flight to Savannah, Georgia. Guess who else had a ticket to Savannah? Ryan Vance. Same flight. Adjacent seat. And the W Hotel downtown had a reservation for Reynolds/Vance. 3 nights, king suite. That's when I decided. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to follow them. I booked my own flight to Savannah. Same day. Slightly later departure. I didn't stay in the same hotel. I chose one across the street, with a view of their lobby entrance and the pool. I packed a camera, a burner phone, a notebook. She kissed me goodbye that morning. Wish me luck, she said. Big client. I smiled. Break a leg. She wheeled her suitcase to the car, humming. I watched her pull away, then went back inside and zipped my own bag. This time, I wasn't just watching from a screen. I was going to see it with my own eyes. And once I did, once I had what I needed, I'd make sure she never saw it coming. Savannah was humid when I landed. Thick air, overcast skies, and just enough breeze to make it feel like something was always about to happen. Perfect. I checked into the boutique hotel across from theirs. It wasn't fancy, just clean, quiet, and with a perfect view of the W's glass entrance. I set my bag down, pulled the chair to the window, and waited. Did I feel like a stalker? Maybe for a second. But then I reminded myself, you don't stalk your own wife. You investigate a liar. An hour later, the cab dropped them off. There she was, Samantha, my wife of 7 years, wearing a sundress I'd never seen, dragging a hard-shell carry-on I didn't recognize. She looked different, relaxed. Not the rushed, stressed-out version of herself I'd see when she came back from business trips. No, this Samantha was vacationing. And behind her, Ryan. Same guy from the porch video. A bit taller than I expected, with one of those confident, cocky walks. He wheeled her suitcase like a gentleman. She laughed at something he whispered, and they walked into the lobby side by side. I took 3 pictures. Time-stamped. Angle perfect. They didn't look around once. I didn't follow them. Not yet. Instead, I grabbed a coffee and circled the block twice. At 4:12 p.m., I saw them again, now at the pool deck on the 2nd floor. She was lying back in a lounge chair, book in hand. He was shirtless, standing waist-deep in the water. They kissed once. I got it on camera. That was the first bullet in the chamber. Over the next 36 hours, I documented everything. Breakfast in bed, delivered to room 202. Brunch at a riverside cafe, he fed her a bite of waffle while she giggled. Shopping near Broughton Street. Afternoon cocktails. Holding hands on the boardwalk like honeymooners. They weren't hiding. They weren't even cautious. And that told me all I needed to know. This wasn't new. They'd been doing this long enough to feel safe. Back in my room that night, I laid out the evidence. I labeled each file, compiled a timeline, even transcribed what I could hear from recorded audio during brunch. She was talking about how clean breaks are always better and how she just needs a little more time. I didn't need a lawyer to translate that. She was planning to leave me, but on her timeline, on her terms. And if I hadn't caught on, she probably would have done it sweetly, grown apart, needed space, still loves me, but not in that way. A soft betrayal wrapped in pretty lies. But now? Now I controlled the script. The next morning, I checked out without breakfast. I didn't need to see more. I had everything. As I passed their hotel, I saw her in the cafe by the window, sipping a mimosa, laughing again. That's the thing about betrayal, it doesn't always wear a cruel face. Sometimes, it wears the same smile you fell in love with. I flew home in silence. No music. No distractions. Just the hum of the engine and the quiet knowing that I had changed, permanently. Back home, I uploaded everything into a cloud drive with restricted permissions. I created backups on a USB and external hard drive. One copy went into the fireproof safe. Another I gave to a trusted friend in IT. I wasn't just gathering evidence. I was preparing for war. Monday came. She returned that evening, suitcase in tow, hair pulled up like she always did when she didn't want me to smell shampoo from a hotel she couldn't explain. Ugh, she groaned, dropping her bag. Denver was chaos. I'll need a drink and a massage after that, client. I handed her a glass of wine. I bet, I said. She didn't even flinch. She sat on the couch, pulled out her laptop, and went straight to work, or at least, pretended to. And in that moment, I knew. She didn't suspect a thing. Over the next 2 weeks, I laid the foundation. I quietly separated finances, transferred ownership of certain assets to a business trust in my name only, met with a lawyer, not just a divorce attorney, but one who specialized in digital evidence and asset protection. I told her everything, showed her everything. She smiled after the 3rd photo. You want clean, she said. We'll give you surgical. The key was not tipping Sam off. No coldness. No change in routine. We still had dinner. Still watched our usual shows. Still had meaningless small talk about our neighbors. All the while, I was preparing my exit and hers. One night, we were in bed scrolling our phones. She turned to me and said, "I might have to go back to Miami next month. Conference season's kicking up again." I smiled. "Then you better pack light." She laughed, kissed my cheek, rolled over, and turned off the light. I laid awake staring at the ceiling. Because the truth is, I could have ended it right there. I could have dropped the bomb, printed the photos, told her she was finished. But it was never about rage or drama. It was about control. She chose to deceive me slowly and carefully. So I dismantle her world the same way. Quiet, cold, clean. The deeper I dug into Ryan Vance, the more obvious it became. This wasn't just some random fling. This was a full-blown operation. Ryan wasn't some sketchy bar hookup or midlife mistake. He was polished, presentable, dangerous in the way that made a lie easier to live inside. A man like that doesn't just show up in your wife's life by accident. He's invited in carefully. And Samantha? She rolled out the red carpet for him. I started with his company, Solarity West, a solar energy firm headquartered in Dallas. He was listed on the executive page as Regional Sales Director, Southeast Division. His bio mentioned 15 years in the industry, a few leadership conferences, and one very telling quote. "Success is a matter of connection. Personal or professional, everything starts with trust." I nearly laughed. I searched their corporate calendar, public events, expos, panels. Then cross-referenced the dates with Samantha's so-called work trips. It all aligned. The Solar Expo in Phoenix? She said she was at a destination wedding in Portland. The client retreat in Charleston? Lined up with Solarity's Energy Summit. They'd been coordinating for months. Which meant she wasn't just lying to me, she was living a second life. Out of curiosity, I looked up Ryan's personal social media. Not much. His Instagram was private, and his Facebook inactive. But I did find one thing, a tagged post from a coworker at a New Year's party. And right there, in the background, barely noticeable Samantha, laughing, wearing the exact red dress she claimed she'd worn to a girls' night at Olivia's. Except Olivia had been with us that night, at my house, helping bake cookies for her son's school fundraiser. It wasn't just betrayal. It was choreography. They had a rhythm, a strategy. And for months, I'd been applauding from the front row without even realizing I was in the audience. So I changed the script. Step 1. Protect everything. I froze our joint line of credit under the pretense of suspicious bank activity. Split my checking account and opened a private one. Moved my emergency fund into a separate institution. All this without raising a single red flag. She was too distracted to notice anyway. Too busy texting clients. Too busy lying in plain sight. Step 2. Bring in the cavalry. I hired a forensic accountant. Her job was to follow the money, trace anything Samantha had spent in the past year that didn't align with her lifestyle. She found over $22,000 in miscellaneous expenses. Hotel rooms I never stayed in. Flights I never booked. Spa charges under Ryan's name, in cities I'd never been to. Jewelry from a high-end boutique in San Diego, charged 2 days after our anniversary. Samantha had gifted me a watch that week. Turns out, she bought it on clearance and used the rest to buy him something better. Step 3. Let the rope tighten on its own. I didn't interfere. I let her plan more business trips. I let her believe I was busy with work, tired, distant, but still loyal. She smiled more often now. She cooked more. She kissed me with that sudden guilt-driven sweetness that almost fooled me. Almost. But I wasn't bitter anymore. I was patient. I created a fake work email under the name Mark Ellison, posing as a conference coordinator for a tech summit in Atlanta, where Ryan's company was sponsoring a booth next month. I emailed Ryan directly, offering him a VIP networking package in exchange for a brief interview. He responded within 6 hours. "Looking forward to it, Mark. Happy to chat." Perfect. I scheduled a Zoom call, routed it through a VPN, used voice modulation software. 20 minutes later, I had a full recording of him talking about his company, his travel schedule, in a brief moment when he said, "I've been working hard lately, but it helps when your travel buddy is someone special, you know?" I smiled at the screen. "Gotcha." I handed the recording to my attorney. She nodded slowly, eyes sharp. "That's enough for an adultery clause in your state, especially if you want to go after asset protection." "Good," I said. "I want to hit her where it hurts." She leaned back. "Then let's time this perfectly. One clean break, no drama, no loopholes." And then came the final touch. I scheduled a surprise trip for Samantha and me. Weekend getaway. Just us. I told her I missed how we used to be. Told her I wanted to reconnect. She melted instantly. God, yes. I was hoping you'd say that. Of course she was. Because she probably thought it'd give her time to figure out how to leave me first, or how to lie one more time and pull it off. But the trip was never about us. It was about the reveal. I reserved a luxury cabin 3 hours north, complete with a fireplace, stocked kitchen, and big screen TV. I loaded a USB drive with all the files, photos, hotel receipts, Ryan's face in my porch camera, the Zoom recording, the flight itineraries. And I put it in a gift box, wrapped in gold paper, with a card on top. In case you were wondering who knows, I didn't plan to scream. I didn't need to. The truth was heavy enough. All I had to do was hand her the box and watch it all crash down. I planned the cabin trip like a man who knew it would be the last time he'd ever share a roof with his wife. Everything had to be perfect. Not in a romantic sense, in a controlled sense. No distractions. No neighbors. No cell signal. No excuses. Just her, me, and the truth in a gift box. The cabin sat on a quiet ridge in northern Georgia. It looked rustic enough to be charming, but inside it was all modern comfort. Heated floors, high-end kitchen, smart lights, Bluetooth sound system. I'd stayed there once during a company retreat and never forgot how isolated it felt. It was the perfect place for closure. I booked it for a long weekend. Told Samantha I wanted to reconnect, get away from the noise, maybe hike, maybe talk, maybe fix what was broken between us, the part of us she didn't realize I'd already autopsied. She said yes so quickly it was almost funny. God, we really need this, she said, hugging me a little tighter than usual. I've missed us. I spent the week preparing. Printed everything. Photos. Flight logs. Receipts. Screenshots. Even a shot from the hotel camera in Savannah where she kissed Ryan by the elevator. The Zoom call. The spa receipt with couples treatment printed right on the line item. All labeled. All stacked neatly in the box with the gold wrapping and the card. Then I updated my will. Adjusted my power of attorney. Sent one last round of documents to my attorney with a note. If I don't check in by Monday morning, drop the hammer. Was it overkill? Maybe. But when someone builds a second life behind your back, you learn to over-prepare. We left on Friday morning. The weather was perfect, not that I cared. She played DJ in the car, picking songs we used to dance to in our kitchen. She reached for my hand more than usual. Told me she was glad we were doing this. I nodded, smiled, kept my eyes on the road. By the time we arrived, she was practically glowing. This place is incredible, she said, spinning slowly in the living room. How did you even find this? Work retreat years ago. She pulled her phone out for a photo, but I shook my head. Let's go offline this weekend. Just us. She hesitated, just a beat too long, but then smiled. You're right. Totally. We cooked dinner together that night. Steak, wine, soft music humming through the speakers. She wore the silk robe I bought her for her birthday, the one she never wore at home. I asked her about work. She lied to my face without blinking. I asked her about upcoming trips. She told me Seattle and Boston. Neither was true. Neither would ever happen. Around 9 p.m., I lit the fireplace. Poured 2 glasses of whiskey. Brought the gold box out from the bedroom. What's this? She asked, wide-eyed. Something I've been meaning to give you, I said, and handed it over. She laughed softly. It's not even my birthday. Open it anyway. She pulled the ribbon. Opened the lid. Her smile faded instantly. She didn't touch the papers. Didn't flip through the photos. Didn't ask what it was. She knew. I didn't speak. Just waited. She blinked fast, processing. Her jaw clenched. Her fingers hovered over the edge of the box like it might bite her. Finally, she whispered, How long have you known? Long enough to stop hoping, I said. She sat down slowly, the box still on her lap. I was going to end it, she said, as if that made it better. I just didn't know how. You were never going to end it. She looked up, eyes wide. You were waiting for a smoother landing. Until then, I was your safety net. Your alibi. Your ATM. That's not fair. No, I said, calm, quiet. What's not fair is lying to someone while looking them in the eye and saying, I love you. What's not fair is using their trust like a credit card. She opened her mouth again, but nothing came out. I stood and walked to the window. The mountains were barely visible under the moonlight. The trees rustled like they knew something was about to snap. You're not going to beg, are you? I asked. I expected some tears by now. She exhaled sharply. What do you want me to say? Nothing. That's the point. This isn't a conversation. It's a notice. She swallowed hard. You're leaving me? I already left. You just didn't notice. She stood up fast. We can fix this. I turned. No, I said. You broke it. I cleaned it up. That's not the same thing. She looked down at the photos again. One had slipped out onto the floor, her and Ryan at the rooftop bar in Miami. You followed me? No. I investigated. There's a difference. And I had to. Because you were never going to tell the truth on your own. Her lip trembled now. Finally. I'll go to therapy. I'll stop seeing him. I'll do anything. You already did everything. It's too late. I walked over, picked up the box, and placed it gently on the counter. You're free now, I said. To be with him. To lie to him. To see how long it takes before he starts checking your flight records too. She collapsed onto the couch. I watched her shoulders shake. Maybe it was crying. Maybe it was rage. But I didn't feel a thing. I walked to the guest room, locked the door behind me, and slept better than I had in months. We drove back in silence. Samantha wore sunglasses the whole ride, even though the sky was overcast. Her arms crossed, her mouth tight, her breathing sharp, like she was trying not to break into pieces. I didn't speak, didn't offer music, didn't reach for her hand. The illusion had shattered. And the woman in the passenger seat wasn't my wife anymore, just a person I used to know. By Monday morning, the next phase began. I met my attorney at 9 a.m. sharp. She'd already drafted the divorce petition, complete with the adultery documentation and attached evidence. The clause was ironclad: infidelity, concealment of marital funds, and willful emotional fraud. She'd also filed for an emergency asset injunction. Until the court reviewed our case, Samantha couldn't touch a dime. By lunch, the papers had been served via a neutral courier while Sam was at work. I wasn't there to see it, but I got a text at 12:47 p.m. from her. Really? You couldn't talk to me first? I didn't reply. I didn't need to anymore. Later that day, the call started. Her mother, her sister, her best friend, Julia. Voicemails full of confusion, pleading, anger. Sam is devastated. She says it's not what it looks like. You blindsided her. I sent each of them a polite, identical message. Out of respect for everyone involved, I preferred to let the court handle this. Then I went dark. Samantha didn't come home that night. She stayed with Julia, or maybe Ryan. Honestly, I didn't care. The house was still, empty in the way I used to be afraid of. But now it felt like clarity. The silence wasn't sad anymore. It was clean. I walked through each room, one by one. Took notes. Photographed valuables. Checked off items we'd purchased together that were now legally contested property. She hadn't taken anything. Not yet. But the storm was coming. On Wednesday, she called me. Not a text. A call. I let it go to voicemail. She left a message, her voice cracking around the edges. We can fix this. You don't have to destroy me. Destroy her? No. I wasn't destroying her. She'd done that herself. I was just making sure I wasn't collateral damage. The next week, my lawyer sent a formal settlement proposal. I'd keep the house. She'd take her car and half the cash in the joint checking account, the one I'd already emptied into escrow before she could touch it. She could walk away with something, if she walked now. But if she fought, we'd drag it out. The evidence file alone guaranteed I'd win a larger share. And the more public it got, the more her reputation would take the hit. She didn't respond. Then came the countermove. Her lawyer claimed the affair did not materially affect the marriage and that our separation was due to emotional neglect. They even hinted that my surveillance bordered on harassment. Cute. So we replied with a video compilation. Her checking into hotels with Ryan. Their dinner dates. The pool footage. The Zoom call. All time-stamped. All legal. Suddenly, their tone changed. 2 weeks later, her lawyer reached out. Samantha is willing to settle, but she requests a private mediation. Fine. I agreed. But I made one condition clear. No apology. No reconciliation. Just business. The mediation was held in a neutral office downtown. Sam showed up first. She looked tired, thinner, like sleep had abandoned her. Her makeup couldn't hide the stress. She wore a muted gray blouse, hair pulled back, eyes rimmed with guilt or fury. Maybe both. I didn't smile when I walked in. Didn't sit near her. Didn't even look at her long. We signed the agreements. She tried once, just once, to say something as we left. I thought we had time, she whispered. I paused in the doorway. Not out of compassion, out of principle. I turned to her. You had all the time in the world. You just spent it on someone else. Then I walked out. 3 days later, it was official. Divorced. I changed the locks. Removed her name from the deed. Updated every document, every password, every account. I boxed up the rest of her belongings and shipped them to Julia's place. No note. No drama. Just finality. And then, life moved forward. Quiet mornings. Uncluttered rooms. Meals I cooked for one and enjoyed. Peace felt strange at first, but it stayed. The last I heard, Ryan dumped her 2 months later. Apparently, once the real-world weight of her situation hit, the divorce, the financial fallout, the family shame, he lost interest fast. She tried to reach out again. Email this time. Subject line, just one question. I deleted it, because I already knew what the question was. Do you regret it? And the answer would always be, no. People always ask what it feels like, the moment it's finally over. Not the yelling, not the betrayal, not the courtroom, but the silence that follows. The kind that doesn't sting. The kind that settles. For me, it was a Tuesday. Mid-morning. I was sitting on the deck behind the house I now owned alone. Coffee in hand. Feet propped up. The wind rustling the tall pines just enough to sound like the world was exhaling with me. And that's what it felt like. Relief. Not revenge. Not rage. Just clean, irreversible relief. After the divorce, I took a few weeks off work. Not because I was broken. Because I needed space to unlearn everything I'd built around her. Our routines. Our inside jokes. The mental reflex of reaching for my phone when I saw something funny, only to remember I didn't want to share it with her anymore. Grief doesn't always come with tears. Sometimes it's just an empty couch and no urge to fill the silence. And for once, I didn't rush to fix it. I cleaned out the house slowly. Each drawer was a memory minefield. Birthday cards. Travel souvenirs. Receipts from restaurants I now knew were lies. I burned some things. Donated others. But I kept one item. The gold box. Empty now, but still wrapped, just slightly torn at the edges. A reminder that truth, once opened, can't be rewrapped. My lawyer emailed one last document to sign. Final property transfer. It came with a note. You handled this like a pro. Most people would have burned everything down. You built an exit. I replied. She set the fire. I just made sure I didn't get burned. I started running again. 5 miles every other day. No music. Just breath, sweat, motion. It helped. Helped reset the wiring. Helped quiet the replay loop of every fake smile, every weekend trip, every time she looked me in the eye and lied. And slowly, I stopped thinking about her. Not because I forgave, but because she no longer took up space in the version of me I was becoming. Friends started inviting me out again. Barbecues. Game nights. Random drinks on Friday. I said yes to most of them, not because I needed distraction, but because I needed connection. On my terms. They asked polite questions. I gave brief answers. Nobody pushed. Except one friend, Tyler, who finally said, "Man, how'd you not lose it?" I sipped my drink and shrugged. Because anger only serves the person who wants to see you fall apart. A few months later, I ran into Julia, Samantha's best friend, at the grocery store. She looked surprised, a little awkward, but also relieved that I didn't turn around and leave. "I just want you to know," she said, "what she did. It shocked all of us. We had no idea." I nodded. "Thanks. She's not doing great, by the way." I said nothing. "She misses you." I smiled politely, then walked away, because that was no longer my problem to solve. The money from our joint investments came in around that time. One of the real estate funds had matured, and the payout was significant, more than either of us had expected. She didn't get a cent. The divorce clause made it clear. Infidelity forfeited her rights to future residuals. She contested, of course. Lost again. I put a chunk into long-term savings. Used another portion to renovate the house. Painted the walls. Updated the furniture. Got rid of the old dining table, the one she loved. Not out of spite. Out of principle. This was my home now. And I wouldn't live among ghosts. By the 1-year mark, I barely remembered her voice. I deleted the voicemails. Blocked her number. Removed every photo from the cloud. Not out of anger. Out of self-respect. Some people deserve a second chance. Others deserve to become a footnote. She became a cautionary tale. Even her name felt like old news. Then one day, an email arrived from an address I didn't recognize. Subject line, "I saw you." Inside was a single sentence. "You looked happy. I hope you are." No name. No reply option. I stared at it for a while. Not sad. Not shaken. Just indifferent. She still needed closure. I already had mine. I deleted the message. Today? I live simply. Work from home most days. Took up woodworking, built my own coffee table, which feels more solid than anything our marriage ever was. I sleep through the night. I laugh without guilt. I trust again, not easily, but honestly. I even started dating someone. Carefully. Slowly. We talk a lot about honesty, not in a trauma-bonding way, but in a never-again kind of way. She knows my story. She respects the scars. And that's enough for now. To anyone out there still waking up next to someone who's lying to them, check the flights. Zoom in on the photo. Listen to your gut. Because sometimes the truth hides in the details. And when you find it, don't scream. Don't beg. Don't crumble. Just do what I did. Take back your name. Take back your peace. And walk away so quietly they don't realize what they lost. Until they see you happy without them.